It's time for this week's episode of Brandon's Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Lehigh Hawks head volleyball coach Alexa Keckler. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching at college volleyball?
Sure. I didn't actually know I wanted to do that. I explored a lot of different avenues and actually started my career in a college setting, but in the intramural and club sport world. But being away from the team environment didn't last too long, and I started coaching high school and then club, and then found myself at the college level. So I think growing up in a house of a basketball coach and being in a team sport environment for my pretty much middle school, high school, and then collegiate career, it was just part of who I was, and I enjoyed the setting and I enjoyed the teamwork and the camaraderie.
What was it like going to Trevec College and playing volleyball?
Yeah, so Trevecca was a great opportunity for me. I loved Nashville. I loved the people at Trevecca, and I met my husband there. So it was a pretty great experience. That certainly getting away from home was was nervous at the time, but I enjoyed being in a different state, different part of the country, exploring different cultures, and then being on a Christian campus was a really great experience.
What was that like, obviously, getting to put on the Trevecca jersey?
Yeah, so I think at the time, I don't know that I embraced it as much as I think about now, like how valuable and how few people get to continue their collegiate career and play for a program that cares about you, play for a program that wants to help you develop as a human and as a Christian and as a volleyball player. And so looking back now, I wish I would have had, I don't know, I think I wish I would have had more people kind of tell me that. And now as a college coach, I understand, the small percentage of high school student athletes that get to go play at the collegiate level and how challenging and how competitive it is. And I just find that, looking back, it was an amazing opportunity, and I'm so grateful for that.
Did you have any big accomplishments during your college playing time?
So not necessarily at Trevecca. I started my playing career at Hagerstown Community College. And there I was an NJCAA All-American, and my freshman and sophomore year at Hagerstown, we won the region championship and ended up going to the NJCAA tournament. So I got to play at Miami-Dade Community College for nationals for the NJCAA tournament there. And then my sophomore year, we went to Orem, Utah, and played there. So it was pretty cool being able to win the region and then go on to post-season play. At Trevecca, I got recruited by Coach Scott Jones, and he was really trying to build something special there. And so coming in, it was a great experience to meet players from all over the country and to help establish Trevecca volleyball.
What was it like getting your coaching start at Smithsburg High School, your alma mater?
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I love the Smithsburg Leopards. Grew up there. I had amazing coaches going to school there, and getting to come back after college and start coaching there. I wish I could have been there longer. To be honest, I was not there very long, but it was really cool to put on the coaching shirt at Smithsburg and to be on that side of the team was pretty awesome.
How was it like, obviously, coaching high school volleyball at Littletown and Smithsburg?
Yeah, so I think coaching at two different high schools. At Smithsburg, I knew how things worked in the league. I knew who the teams were. I had more familiarity with the program. Coming into Littlestown, there was a lot of talent there, but definitely unfamiliar with who the big dogs were, how Pennsylvania volleyball, the processes were there and the playoffs and the structure of the program and the league versus Maryland volleyball and how that works. So it was just a learning opportunity, getting to coach at the high school level and experiencing both the high school athlete and then the high school athlete's parents. So being able to juggle that, certainly taught me a lot.
What was the transition like from going from high school volleyball coaching to going into college coaching at Gettysburg?
Yeah. So definitely a big adjustment for a couple different reasons. Obviously, coaching at the collegiate level, it's more competitive, a lot more time. You have to recruit your players. So at the high school level, it's certainly you get to coach what you have, and you're helping to develop players who may not be as serious, but just enjoy playing the sport. At the collegiate level, definitely more competitive, more time and commitment to recruiting the players that you want to have and getting to know them, as well as working with admissions and financial aid, because there's so many different entities that play a part in that. And so, for me, I think it was a challenge. It was extremely competitive, and it was something that I just really fell in love with.
What was that 2005 season like going to the national regionals?
I mean, what a great experience it was. First year coaching. Really, the players were the ones who did that. They had great leadership in the senior class. A couple of those girls actually are still coaching volleyball, and I think just the opportunity to go and compete at that point was something. Win a Centennial Conference championship and then be able to go on to the NCAA. It was nothing I had ever experienced before.
What was that like transitioning from Gettysburg to Monteburg?
Yeah, so it's actually Muhlenberg. So Muhlenberg College is in the same league as Gettysburg. And Muhlenberg was a little bit lower in ranking at the time in our league. So the reason that I was making the move is my husband is a college basketball coach, and he received his first head coaching job at that time. And we were relocating, and Muhlenberg head coach left, and I had the opportunity to interview for that job. And another great school, great community, but it was a little awkward for sure the first couple of years because I was playing against the players that I had recruited at Gettysburg. And after the first couple of years, we were able to get Muhlenberg to the top of the league and had some great players come through that program. Muhlenberg is in a great location, had a lot of wonderful attributes, and although awkward at first and definitely a challenge. Our first year at Muhlenberg, we were 6-20, and then by the time I left, we had 21 seasons the 5 years preceding that. So it was a cool challenge. It was also really neat to see the growth and development of that program.
How was that like, obviously in 2019, going to the Patriot Leagues tournament?
Yeah, so going from Muhlenberg to Lehigh, D3 to D1 was a big, another big step. Again, increased competitiveness with play and recruiting and time commitment. And so, I think getting to the Patriot League tournament was really a great opportunity for me to really see what it's like in the postseason, for our players to have the opportunity to compete for that, but also to set the bar of where we want to be every year. And so at Lehigh right now, like our vision and my goal for the program is to be in the top 2 every year in and out, competing for that Patriot League title.
Of course, what was that transition like from going from D3 to D1 to go to Lehigh?
Yeah, like I said, it was quite an overwhelming, and it's taken a little bit more time than I think I thought jumping into it. So COVID certainly didn't help matters by any means, but just every institution has their strengths, and they also have their challenges as it relates to learning processes and systems and ways things work. The rules at D1 are a lot different than the rules at D3. So I think the first year it was really me trying to stay above water and figure out how things worked here. And then as we kind of started to get into a flow, then we hit COVID, which really impacted our ability to be on the road recruiting and also really developing our players. I really feel for the juniors and seniors this year that they did not have the full experience to develop them as players. And so that was a challenge, but I think now I think my feet are pretty wet. I think I understand the type of player that we need to recruit to win a championship. And I think I am excited about the future of our program and the culture that we're building. And certainly as the NCAA rules continue to change and develop, I think we're in a good position to recruit the players that we need and continue to help Lehigh put a little mark on the map.
What was it like, obviously, taking the stuff that you learned as a D3 coach to the D1 level?
Yeah, so all of the schools that I have had the privilege of getting to coach at are all high academic schools. And I really value that. That was definitely something I considered strongly when going from D3 to D1 is I really like that intimacy that I had with my D3 athletes. It was not a job like employer-employee kind of relationship. We were able to work together to help make them the best people, but we still prioritized their academics, and that was important. And so coming into the Division I world, I think in my head, I thought all D1 schools were, kind of like the Power Fives, where their jobs are on the line every year if they're not winning. And, there was a lot of thought process that went into that, but I love to compete and I love to win. So I think I put enough pressure on myself to do that. But I would say that recruiting at Lehigh, I'm still looking at the athlete that wants to be great on the court and in the classroom. And so that transition has been quite easy, but something that I would not have known had I not been at a high academic school where it was a priority to be recruiting players that were driven in the classroom and that were really pursuing a school that would challenge them on the court as much as it does in the classroom.
What are some of your accomplishments so far as head coach at Lehigh?
Well, I wish there was more. I have to say that, but we're working on that. I think in 2018, we had the best starting record in the history of Lehigh's play. In 19, we were able to make the playoffs again. I think one of my accomplishments that is not necessarily a record of whatnot, but I think we have a great group of young women that are extremely diverse and very inclusive. And I think for me, that's really important that we have the support and the ability to recruit players, not just from all over the country, but players from different backgrounds and race and ethnicities. And that is something that I think from our program, if you look at our roster, we have really amazing young women, but we have players that are Black, players that are Hispanic, players that have Asian descent, players who are from Texas and California and Idaho and Florida, and all of them provide such amazing insight and backgrounds and experiences. And to me, that's a pretty cool accomplishment to be able to be a part of that and to experience that.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built as a head coach at Lehigh?
Sure. So it's taking some time, and I think we have a really good foundation right now, and I'm excited about where we're going to go with it. But for me, our culture is tabbed do right, our do right culture, and it kind of stems from an experience that I had in a parking lot where I had a flat tire, or I'm sorry, I had a dead battery, and I asked a lady in the parking lot to help me jump my car. And she responded with, well, how is that going to affect my car? And it just dawned on me that people are so selfish and so worried about themselves that they don't always take a look at doing the right thing. So in that moment, what was the right thing to do? It would be to help a fellow person out in the middle of a parking lot who couldn't start her car. And so it got me to thinking about all of the times in our program where we take the easy route instead of taking the right route. And so for me, it was really about getting our players to understand, hey, when we're in the weight room, do the right thing. Don't do the easy thing. If it's going to help you get stronger, if it's going to help you get faster, if it's going to help you be a better teammate, then it's doing the right thing in that moment. If we're asking you on the court to pass a certain way or execute an offense in a certain way, if you get lucky, that's not doing it right, that's getting lucky. We want you to do it the right way. We want you to be able to repeat that motion. And then same thing like walking across campus. Like, how many times have you maybe seen someone drop something and you pretend that you don't see it and you keep going? Or there's balls in the gym that need to be shagged and you can pretend that you don't see them, but really just do the right thing. And so for us, it's developing that culture of digging in, holding each other accountable, and trying to do the right thing as much as we can. And if we find ourselves in a situation where we didn't do it right, how do we make it right? How do we respect one another by saying, I didn't do this, I'm going to make up for it, and holding each other accountable? So that's kind of the culture that we have founded and built on, is doing it the right way, taking action when we don't do it the right way, and then again, being respectful and inclusive to one another.
Who are some of the teams that you face in your conference?
Yeah, so we compete in the Patriot League Conference, and we play teams such as Holy Cross, Lafayette, Bucknell, Colgate, American, Army, Navy. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Loyola. So we have a really good league, a lot of parity, but it's a pretty fun league to be a part of.
What's that like? Obviously, getting to play Army and Navy, and then obviously getting to play Colgate.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really great teams. It's pretty competitive. We went to 5 with Navy and won this year. We went to 5 with Army and lost. So, I think that there's a lot of great competition, and it's fun to be able to compete against those teams and experience different, different programs and different offenses and defenses. And, both of those programs have amazing coaches, and it's pretty exciting just to have the opportunity to be in a competitive league.
What's that like, obviously getting to face military academy schools, but then also getting to face civilian schools just like yourself?
Yeah, so I think the travel there is pretty cool, just to be on a base and be able to see kind of what their life is like, what their lifestyle is like, their training, their facilities, where they go, and then be able to go, but at the same time, that there are definitely advantages of being, Navy or Army. And while I'm sure they have challenges with their recruiting, they also have the ability to, recruit a lot of players into their programs. That will be trained both outside and on the court, within their actual training, and then also with volleyball. But so that's always an interesting perspective when we're looking at those schools. They're always fit, very athletic, very strong. And then the non-academies in our league, I think we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to recruit the best student athletes we can, and trying to find our niche in how we can be the best in the league.
What does a typical game day look like at Lehigh?
Yeah, so game day, let's say if we play on a Friday night, I would say, girls may have to get up and do a little class in the morning. Our coaching staff tries to stay out of the office most of the day on Friday, just, clear our head, do our own thing. And then, the girls will do a team dinner or a late lunch together. And then, we'll start our prep in our team room. We'll, do a little review of what we're up against. Our girls do like to have a dance party. So typically after we do our motivational chat and our pregame talk, then the girls will have their dance party. And then, we'll head down to the court. We'll get our serve and pass and start to go through our warm up. And then after the match, we usually either we'll have a team meal together, or sometimes we'll have a lot of families here. We have a pretty good family support system, so a lot of times the girls will end up going with their families out. But that's typically like a normal game day for us.
What does a typical game day look like as head coach?
Yeah, so for me, I have 4 kids. So usually it's just another day in the trenches, get up, get the kids ready, get them off to school. Usually I try to, kind of do some things I like to do on game day. I, try to get a workout in and, maybe I'll do some cleaning in the house or just, kind of like let my mind go. And then I usually do watch a little bit of film in the afternoon just to make sure I have all my notes, game plan, my thoughts about, what things could happen and be prepared for that. And then, usually come in the afternoon and our staff usually likes to kind of just hang out together in the office, just chit chat about stuff, kind of catch up, get loose, and then dive into the match. At that point, our job is done. We've prepared as much as we can, and it's really the players at that point to go out and execute the game plan.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college volleyball?
Yeah, so I think this day and age is happening earlier and earlier. But the process definitely looks like, reaching out to coaches, providing film, video links, footage. For us, it's extremely important to have access to a transcript or test scores. The academic admissions process is just as important. So, having student athletes that are proactive in that and communicating. I think this day and age, the social media and technology has made things so easy, but it also means that I think everyone wants immediate answers. So I would say from a coach's perspective, I would say to players, to make sure that you have all of that information available, film and academic stuff. So then once we have all that, we've evaluated our players in person, we've gone through the admissions process to make sure they can get in, then we start to look at visits and getting players here. We do a lot through Zoom now. We will take them through tours via Zoom on our, on our laptops. We'll have them meet with our players, different things like that to help them get some insight right into the campus, into the program, so they have a better idea of what it would be like to be a Lehigh volleyball player.
Of course, as head coach, what are some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes when on the road?
Yeah, I think on the road, depending on the position, we have specific characteristics and qualities that we want them to have, whether it's attacking, whether it's consistency in passing, whether it's blocking abilities. We're looking at all of those areas and really evaluating technique. And then aside from like the skill-based standpoint, for me, it's extremely important that player is, again, a good person, right? So someone who's communicating on the court, someone who's a team player, giving high fives, supporting, pretty much any kid that doesn't come into their team huddle or walks away from a teammate or doesn't run to the timeout or isn't paying attention to the coach, those kids drop on my list really fast. Players need to be coachable. They need to take feedback. They need to acknowledge the coaches when they're giving feedback. From a player standpoint, I want to see teammates supporting one another, and talking on the court, whether that's to be set or to call the ball or to get excited for another teammate. Those are some intangibles that are really important to us when we're looking at players.
Of course, when those prospective student athletes come on the official visit, what does that process look like at Lehigh?
Yeah, so we're not privy enough to have a lot of official visits, just given our budget standpoint, but we do try to have we do try to offer some of those, and some of that is like from an NCAA rule thing, takes a little bit of time, right? They have to get all their clearances. We have to go through a lot of hoops to make sure we're following guidelines. And then, an official visit looks like tour campus, meeting with some professors, getting to meet with our leadership development team in our athletic department, maybe meeting another member or two of our athletic department, touring our facilities, going to lunch with our team, maybe spending the night with our team, going to hang out, watching a practice or a lift. and then spending some time with our staff. So it's just really important during the official visit that we have the ability to have a good evaluation of them as people. Do they have a sense of humor? Are they fun? Can you talk to them? What questions do they have? That's always an important thing. What are they most concerned about on the visit, and what are they looking for? So those are some things that you would expect to have happen on an official visit here at Lehigh.
Of course, as head coach, what is it like obviously seeing those players fall in love with Lehigh and get to put on that Hawk jersey and see if they fell in love with it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think, after a player commits to us, I think that is really where the fun begins. Because then, they're staying connected with us. They're watching us. They're following us online. They're coming to our camps. They are coming to our matches if they're nearby and watching us play. Then you see them posting things and, like going here, or, we have a player right now that is coming in this fall, and their club program is really cool. So she has a brown warm-up jersey, and it has her club name on the front, but it has Lehigh on the back. So anyone that would go watch that team warm up, you're seeing Lehigh there. And now that we're on the road recruiting, we run into some of our commitments. Their families are decked out in Lehigh stuff, and I don't know, you can just tell that they are excited and bought in, and that's what we're looking for.
What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to play college volleyball?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice would be to be proactive in the process. Be communicative and be honest. So we know that we're not going to get everyone we recruit. And so if you're not interested, tell a coach that you're not interested. If you are concerned about something about that school or program, tell the coach. If you're excited about something, tell the coach. If you need more time, or if you're ready to commit, or if you want to know where you stand. So I think it's important to ask questions, but be engaged in the recruiting process. Going days and weeks without responding doesn't indicate interest. It indicates a lack of interest. And so I would say to those players looking to play in college, be proactive in the process, communicate and be honest. And then the last thing that I would say is make sure you have, up-to-date video, and you're providing academic status to those schools. I guess the big thing that I would definitely say is that the less academic you are as a high school athlete, the less options you have. So, when players think they're just going to get a scholarship, the academic part does matter. And the more you put into your academics and the better you do in school, the more options you'll have when you get to college for your choice.
What advice would you give those college volleyball players that are currently playing now, looking to play in the professional, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or US volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I'm not 100% sure what I would say to that, other than, start that process early, right? If that's something that you want to do, start to figure out maybe where you want to play, start to make connections there, think about what you're going to have to do to get to that point, training, performance. And again, it's similar to coming from high school to college. It's really important to be proactive with that. And if you want to do that, then start planting that seed early and start figuring out, if that's your goal, how do you get there and what's going to be required of you?
What advice would you give future college coaches looking to get started, and even head coaches looking to get started?
So I would say be prepared for a lot of hard work. Have a great supporting significant other. It is a lot of time, and coaching is a lifestyle. It's not a job. And so if you think you're going to work 9 to 5, you should choose a different profession. Depending on the level that you coach, you wear a lot of different hats. And you are coach, you are counselor, you are academic advisor, you are fundraiser, you are marketing and communication. So there's a lot. I think the reason I love coaching is that every day is different, and I get to utilize so many different strengths of mine, from communication to fundraising to coaching to counseling. There's just a lot of different areas of my college education and my experience that I get to apply every day. And so every day is different. And I like that spontaneity, but it does include a lot of time away from family, a lot of travel. And so I think, to get into that coaching, It's making connections, it's working camps, it's putting yourself out there, it's not being afraid to ask questions, and then it's being prepared for a lifestyle and not a job.
That's great advice. What advice would you give head coaches looking to get started?
As in like their assistants and they become a head coach, or
Yes.
So I think, if you're an assistant coach and you want to become a head coach, I think it's having some priorities in regards to what is your philosophy, what things will you stand for, and what things won't you stand for, and then really try to stay the course on that. A lot of times you can be persuaded one way or the other. I also think as a head coach, there's no one right way. So I think it's important to learn from different coaches and then be able to take whatever it is that is attractive and means so much to you and you're passionate about. And that is how you develop your coaching philosophy. And then I think always from there, once you know that, be willing to listen and be open to change, because as a head coach, philosophies change, skills change, ways of teaching change, the athletes we're recruiting change. And so you have to be willing to constantly keep learning even after you're a head coach.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with Lehigh Hawks volleyball program at?
Yes, so you can find me. I'm at Alexa Keckler. And our Lehigh volleyball program is, I believe, Lehigh V-Ball. So Lehigh V-Ball on Instagram, Lehigh V-Ball on TikTok, and on Twitter and Facebook. So you can follow us there. I do think our team does a great job of showing their personality and being in on our social media outlets to learn a little bit more about us.
Thank you again, Coach Alexa Keckler, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you begin your head coaching job at Lehigh Hawks.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Alexa Keckler, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.